Guys, so what we're going to be doing for a quick tutorial, this is very quick, I call them like 2-minute tutorials, is a quick review of the parts of a paragraph in preparation for what is a pop quiz tomorrow. Surprise, you have a quiz. In relation to understanding the development of paragraph, as we are going to do a ton of writing in social studies. So what I've opened, this is actually the worksheet that you can find in Classroom for your first writing prompt. You probably have a paragraph developed below this if you typed it. Some of you might already have notes up here, but I just wanted to review very quickly and so that we are ready for tomorrow's quiz. So reminder, a thesis is a argument or a statement that you are trying to prove, and it is developed from the question that is asked of you. Thesis statements sometimes can be opinionated, you can take a side, or you can try to prove a point. If you look at the question below, in this question, what factors contributed to the formation of early civilization? This is where you're trying to prove that there are important factors and you focused in on a few of them. The next statement on your outline, if it's an outline, we call this your supporting detail. It's often classified by a letter like A, B, C, or D. The intention of a supporting detail statement is that it is a transitional thought and an introduction to your specific example. The idea of a supporting detail statement is that it provides almost an opinion. You know, one of the most important factors in the development of civilization is the creation of fire, or the discovery of fire, sorry, not the creation. And from there, your specs would then talk about the idea of what is fire. Okay. A supporting detail statement is really important, and it is a full sentence. So please make sure that is included whenever you do an essay or a paragraph. A specific example in social studies, we call this a specs. And the idea of this is that it is a unbiased, detailed fact. If you're talking about an event or a person, you need to give as much information as you can to fully develop the thought. And I mentioned the example in class. If you're talking about like the Battle of Salamis, you need to make sure you include the who, what, where, when, why, and all of that information. And this can be multiple sentences. It doesn't just have to be one. If you get information from multiple sources, you need to have a citation after each sentence from all the different sources. If it all comes from the same source, you can actually have one citation at the very end. Sometimes this is in quotation marks, sometimes it's paraphrased. We'll talk about the difference in class, but it's really important that when you define a specs, you always remember to have a citation in MLA format. Okay? An analysis statement. An analysis statement's purpose is that it explains how your specs proves the thesis correct. This is an opinionated sentence, does not usually come from any source, it comes from your brain. This is almost like your justification for why you chose the specs that you did. Why did you choose the discovery of fire as a factor that is important to the development of early civilizations? And your analysis would explain that. Analysis statements are quick and to the point. They should be at most one sentence, and sometimes maybe two, but that's it. The majority of, if you're going to have a lot of sentences, it should be your specs, and all of that should be unbiased fact. Be careful, because sometimes when you read sources, those sources will have the author's opinion, and you don't want to include that as your specs. Okay. And finally, a closing, often forgotten, but you do need a closing. Your intention of your closing is to actually wrap up the piece. Obviously, it's in the word closing. But beyond that, it's also a restatement of the idea of your thesis. You're reminding the reader, this is everything I've talked about, and I'm wrapping it up. So it gives closure to what it is you're talking about. So you don't end on an opinion, you close up the entire piece. Okay. These terminologies need to become part of your vocabulary for the remainder of your high school career at Guilford for our social studies and beyond. So just remember that changing the word specs is fact. I mean, it's evidence if we want. Supporting details are often classified by letters. Specs should always have citations. Analysis are justifications for why you chose your specs, and closings wrap the whole thing up. All right, I hope this quick tutorial helps you feel prepared for tomorrow. And as always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Good luck.